I used to be like you, pushing through books I didn't enjoy for the sake of, well, many reasons. Working towards my reading goals, FOMO, wanting to finish something I started. Whatever the reason, still to this day, they are not books I enjoyed reading. Do I regret not spending my time reading something else? Something maybe I could have enjoyed a bit more? Maybe. Yeah. Book Yaps with Ash. Welcome back to Book Yaps with Ash. I'm Ash, and like you, I didn't used to DNF books that I wasn't enjoying. In the last couple of years, though, I've started DNFing books a bit more, and since then, my reading, it has been more enjoyable, and looking back at the list of books I've read, I feel better about them. I know more about what they're about. I feel a bit good talking about them. I think it's a good list. So yeah, I'm pro DNFing books. But DNFing is something that people struggle with. How do you become okay with dropping a book that you're midway through and moving on to something else? I personally think it actually starts more with changing up your reading habits and your mindset. So I've got 4 tips for you for how to DNF more books in 2026, read more books that you like, and be okay with it. My first tip is ditch the reading goals, or at least change them up, okay? The reading community is so stuck on numbers. Reading the most books in a year, reading more books this year than you did last year, reading 150 books a year. And if you can do that, that's sweet. I'd love to. But it's not realistic, and to be honest, it kind of dumbs down reading. It makes it into a competition. It makes it less enjoyable. I think when you're first getting into the habit of reading or trying to build the habit of reading, that a small attainable number is good for building that habit. So maybe you want to read 1 book a month, 12 for the year. I think that's a good goal, and I think that's attainable. But I think once it becomes anything more than that you're actually doing more harm than good to your reading hobby. It's a hobby. Don't forget, you're supposed to like it. I found with the habit fully formed and being a true reader, because I enjoy doing it, not because it's something I feel like I need to do every day, but because I really enjoy doing it. Setting a goal to me to read more and more books every year, it was satisfying. It was exciting to beat that number, but it wasn't making me a better reader. It wasn't making me read books I wanted to read, and it wasn't helping me find books that I loved. If you think about it, a simple, I want to read 90 books this year, doesn't account for the nuances and the differences between books. With that goal, this book counts as the same amount of books as this book, right? And that just doesn't make any sense. On top of that, audiobooks are notoriously slower than reading with your eyes. So you could find yourself reading on 3 times speed and not retaining anything. Or what about classics or nonfiction books that might be a little bit more challenging to read and take a bit longer than reading your favorite genre that you're used to, or your favorite author whose writing you can speed through? When I had a numbers goal, I was straying away from all that. I wasn't picking up big books. I wasn't picking up challenging books. I wasn't picking up books that I thought might not hold my attention, or might not be what I expect them to be, but I don't know until I try. I just wasn't picking anything up because I was so focused on hitting a number that I was reading smaller books. I was reading safer books. That being said, I don't think we need to stray away from goals completely. I think we just need to be more intentional with them. You might be thinking, well, I set a numbers goal for the year because there are so many books I want to read in my lifetime. And to that I say, okay, well then why are you spending your time finishing books that you don't like? But goals can be based exactly on that. This year, I want to read these 25 books that I have at home. Picking specific books that you want to get to. That could be a goal. Even better is taking the number of books completely out of your goal setting. Something like 75 booked, where the goal is to have 2 45-minute reading sessions every day uninterrupted. It doesn't matter if you start a book, you read it for 45 minutes, and you never pick it up again. With that goal, it doesn't matter how many books you finish. But if you stick to that goal, you could spend up to 90 minutes a day times. You could spend up to 45 hours a month reading, which could be 540 hours in a year. I feel like that's a more impressive number than number of books. So that's my first tip. When I stopped caring about the number of books I read each year, I started to feel okay not finishing books. But I get it. Sometimes it's hard to quit mid-book. Maybe you're not so hateful about it. You're just not loving it. Maybe you want to know what happens. Maybe you think it'll get better. And like I said, maybe you're just not hating it with a burning passion. You're just about it. So my next tip for you, when you're feeling more apathetic than anything about what you're reading, is to read multiple books at once. And if that's not really your thing, just start another book when you're feeling blah about the one you're currently reading. And if that's confusing, make it very different. Make the genres very different. Do a very hard departure from what you're reading right now. I'm sure this has happened to you, okay? You're reading a book, but you're looking at your shelf and there's one that's just jumping out at you being like, read me now. And you're like, oh, I can't wait to read this one. I'm so excited. Read it now. Stop the book you're currently reading and pick that book up. I'm telling you, it's okay. If you do that, I promise you one of these things will happen. Either number one, you'll get really into this new book. You'll read the whole thing before you even open the one you were reading that you didn't like again. Number two, you'll start reading this new book, but you'll find that you're actually missing the other book that you considered DNFing. And what does this tell you? It tells you that you don't want to DNF it. So you go back to the other book, you find out what happens, and maybe you finish it. Or I guess the third option is it is possible that you don't even like this new book, but you also don't really care about going back to the old book. So now you have to just find another book. I'm sure you can find one. But either way, in doing this, you've created some distance between you and that book that you weren't sure if you really liked. And this can make it easier to accept that, whoa, you actually have DNF'd that book. Because if you don't go back to it, all you need to do is nothing. You can just simply not pick it up again and nothing bad will happen. I promise you this. But okay, if you're still feeling guilty or bad about not finishing that blah book that you started, that you care so little about, truly, deep down you know you care so little about it, let me introduce you to this. Okay, I'm just kidding, okay. But my next tip for you is to embrace the not right now. If DNF, did not finish, is too harsh for you, I encourage you to embrace not right now. Sometimes it's just not the right time for a certain book, especially ones with heavier content, more challenging subject matter, an experimental writing style, anything that's a bit different from what you usually read. Sometimes you're not in the right place for it. Also, on the flip side, something more fun and exciting can also feel like it's not what you're looking for right now, and you want something more on the serious side. Your mind changes, your mood changes, and your reading can change with that. It is okay. Maybe there's also something going on in your life that makes it distracting and hard to focus on this book, and you're just not retaining anything, you're not following, and it's not holding your attention because of other outside factors that actually have nothing to do with the book itself, just with your life right now. Whatever the reason is, there is no rule saying that once you start a book, you have to finish it before you do anything else. I promise you, the cops are not coming to get you if you don't finish the book that you started right now. Leave the bookmark in, put it back on the shelf, and plan to come back to it in a month or two. You can either pick up where you left off if you remember what was going on, or just start from the beginning again and reintroduce yourself to the story. Maybe you'll feel differently about it. Maybe you'll feel the same and feel confident in your decision to not continue on with it 2 months ago. And hey, maybe that book that you didn't want to finish is a really popular book that everybody else really seems to enjoy. Or a really well-written book that you feel like you should have liked and that you actually liked some parts of it, but you just kept falling asleep when you were reading it. My last tip is that that's okay. Sometimes we need a little reminder that everyone has different tastes, and reading is a solo activity. Yes, we're in book clubs, we're in online communities, everybody's talking about it, you want to be involved, but at the end of the day, the book you're reading is for you and you alone. And it is supposed to be enjoyable. It's supposed to be an enjoyable hobby that you like doing, that you look forward to doing. So make sure when you finally get to sit down with that book and get some goddamn peace and quiet, that you are enjoying it. Did you DNF any books in 2025? If so, let me know in the comments. Like I said, I DNF'd this last year. I DNF'd a few books this year, and I'll probably DNF a few next year, and that's freedom, baby. That is your right, so take it, and let me know why you're a hater. Thanks for watching Book Yaps with Ash, and we'll see you next time. Bye!